Hello everybody, welcome back to, of course, this is only purely a wrestling channel. I'm joking. But other than that, we are live here over on the DST show. We're going to be talking about Brian Cage. And today, Brian Cage still hasn't been active on television for the past several months due to his shoulder injury. There's still leaks about him coming back. And it sucks too because I'm quite a fan of Brian Cage. Sure, the echelon and the cliche over on the majority of indie jobbers that think, oh, obviously doing flippy shit while I'm over 250 pounds and I can deadlift a human being obviously means it's okay for me to put my body more on the line by doing the death-defying stuff that I'm already doing to the guys in the ring. That makes a lot of sense. And most I've seen the range of Brian Cage is not PWG, not in indie feds, majorly televised programming like Impact. When I saw him in Gut Check, somehow being the finalist over I think some jobber that didn't even last a year, or I think that was over Joey Ryan. With Lucha Underground, probably you guys are more familiar with him there, where he was at least a somewhat heavyweight that was still doing death-defying stuff, moonsaults, just squashing nearly everybody with the massive mohawk and the singlet, and then you saw him over on Impact where he won. I think more people would understand his career there, where he's just having good matches over with Aries, Morrison, Impact, Johnny Impact, the Lucha Bros, becoming world champion until later over his injury, and then the COVID hit, and then the overall buyout of contracts coming from AEW hit. And just knowing, like, Brian Cage was in a major platform where he previously came out of being the world champion, being the top guy over in the card, and getting married by a very hot interviewer, to being part of rush into a major faction in under 5 months of his time there, jobbing over on the world champion the first time on TV, and immediately, not even defending the belt 2 years in, and jobbing over to Ricky Starks. Now, I like Ricky Starks, but there's a level that you can be in to get jobbed out by a man who looks like this. Just like a group from The Sopranos would make a homophobic joke of in an episode that you probably remember. That's Ricky Starks. No disrespect, I know he's not that. He doesn't swing that way, but this is the guy who dated Bailey over the guy that is with Melissa Santos. And if you guys haven't looked up who Melissa Santos looks like, her name already tells you that she's more hotter than the wife that you have now. So that's besides the point. Brian Cage, I feel like, deserves a bit much. He has intensity, not that much over to the charisma department. That's why I feel like they should have kept Taz as a manager. Ricky Starks doesn't really need a manager. I can understand why Hobbs needs one. But over to the standpoint of, like, knowing, like, his presence of a buff dude like that can do the moves the cruiserweights can do, and that can overpower most of the heavyweights on the roster, that should be built up as an all-around guy that should be world champion. And plus, he had a realistic record before getting injured, only with 2 losses. Around, like, 5 losses. He was still in the single-digit loss range with over 30 wins over that time frame. Win-loss record doesn't mean shit over in AEW. Unless it's relevant to your relationships with most of the guys backstage, it don't matter. Unless you're an indie jobber with a lack of physique, no charisma on the mic, and barely a draw factor that can do a 30-minute match and think that's gonna actually get anywhere on trying to produce the company, instead of a walking Terminator that can do a 619 while doing a Batista bomb at the same time, looking straight out of something that you probably made over in your SVR career mode, and looks like he's already built in for an action figure. Why not profit over that? Sure, he could not be an all-around talent, depending if you get him over. But here's the thing: none of these guys look like they're getting over. It's the same circumstances why people like Drew McIntyre is struggling over to be on the top of the card to the mid card immediately, while they have what it takes to be a top main eventer on the show, that's depleting of superstardom. Literally. And it sucks too because I know there's certain fans probably and guys that are not that much of big fans that of AEW but seen the product look at this guy and be like, how is this guy not getting pushed for major shit around the company when he legit had success like that before and could be treated like a legit dude. But I heard he might have a match over on that Ring of Honor pay-per-view, even though they did zero build on that. Like, Death Before Dishonor on pay-per-view, when you guys build upon that, shouldn't you debut the show before you debut the pay-per-view? Yeah, you gotta have Final Battle 2022 when we debut on air for Ring of Honor in 2023? Like, that makes sense to you, bro? I mean, I wouldn't mind this if this is just to slip off the roster Ring of Honor and make it more of a developmental, but still pushing a familiar product like we did when ECW came back around '06. But come on, you really think like most people already had a general interest when Ring of Honor was still airing around the time of 2020? You barely saw any headline videos unless it involved a guy from formerly Ring of Honor heading to WWE or AEW. Over to that extent, Ring of Honor ain't nothing still to the wrestling business other than something that was not WWE, that still had the same in-ring style, but no stars to get it over. Besides that, whatever. I hope the show does well. To that extent that I feel like it's only going to get like 75,000 buys. To that extent to the lack of star power and majority just being guys that we already know from the wrestling bubble. Just going to produce great matches with the Ring of Honor stuff that you like, because I made another deal with CMLL. Oh my god, you know there's small YouTube channels that probably got more viewership on their regular YouTube channel? Like an established wrestling fed of like over at least 100 years, and still nobody watches. That sucks. I don't think a majority of Mexico watches CMLL, and Lucha Libre is like a well-known staple in Mexico when it comes to majority of what you can talk about the company that's not legal problems. But besides that, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hopefully Brian Cage, gets back healthy. Same with Biggie. I know he suffered over a gruesome injury by Ray Harland one time on SmackDown, and I heard he doesn't need any type of recovery. Now he's fully up and running over, finally finishing his surgery. Hopefully he's back in full health. I don't wish upon these guys to get hurt, but besides that, that's it for me. How you feel about Brian Cage and how he's been treated over on AEW? And if you want me to do more of these mistreatment videos, comment down below if any other wrestler you think has been mistreated around in any of these wrestling feds. That's it for me. Thanks for watching the DST show.